That's what reality is made out of, but it's an invisible Play-Doh, and you can make it into anything. Ever since, I would say, even the 1600s in science, they've been surrounding this thing, but they didn't call it plasma. It was this invisible burning fire. They thought it might have to do with magic or consciousness. That plasma is more than we think it is. It does not just exist in the bounds of science. Our nervous system is what speaks to plasma. It's our consciousness. You will not bring in money or abundance if you haven't healed your nervous system and your belief systems in the right ways. You'll lose it easy again. With more light comes more darkness, and I think people forget that.
Dana, welcome to the podcast, my lovely.
Yay, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I feel like we can cover a lot of ground today,
Yes.
from stumbling across your work, speaking very passionately about plasma, metaphysics, mental health, divine feminine, human potential consciousness, you name it. We'll probably cover it today. So that's what hopefully we'll unpack in the next hour as well. But I wanted to go in because plasma is such a big topic for you talk about. I've got 2 young children, right? And if you visited my house and you had to explain plasma to one of them, how would you break it down in a brief overview?
Okay, if I was going to talk to them, I would say, hey, guy, do they know what Play-Doh is? Do you have
They
Play-Doh?
do. My daughter would, yeah, big time.
Okay, so I'd probably go like, hey, guys, you know that thing Play-Doh? That's what reality is made out of, but it's an invisible Play-Doh, and you can make it into anything. And what do you use? Instead of your hands, you use your consciousness, which is not just your mind, it's your heart, your body, and your mind. It's your full consciousness, right? Your mind, body, soul. And with that, think about okay, let's say you want to think of an image. Like if you take a key and press it into Play-Doh, it leaves an imprint of the key, right? It's the same with plasma. You think of something and emotionally feel it, and it will start to make imprints in the plasma, which is called the Akashic Field in mythology, kids, which means all past, present, and future, and memory. So we imprint our consciousness, which is memory, onto this field. And this field has its own intelligence made up of all of our imprints that this man, Carl Jung, called the collective unconscious. Yeah, that's about it.
It's great. Straight away, I'm seeing it like the Play-Doh. Like, 'cause obviously, you preach it to the converted here, through what I do as well. But what have you found over the years in terms of where we are, how much of science is acknowledging this at this stage, and how much is it from your own experiential life experience?
What am I noticing that science is acknowledging right now?
Yes, or if at all.
Yeah, so they're starting to, which is very exciting. I would say this has been acknowledged literally since like the 1600s. I just did some research. I forget the scientist's name. So where these people were working with like electrostatics and this luminescent thing. And they even called it, talk about it in theosophy. What's the word? Hold on. I literally was looking this up today. It'll take me 2 seconds. Greek word for burning fire theory, plasma. Oh, phlogiston. Okay. So there are all these different words. Let me get back to the camera here. Sorry. Hold on. Here we go. So ever since, I would say even the 1600s in science, they've been, surrounding this thing, but they didn't call it plasma. It was this, invisible burning fire. They thought it might have to do with magic or consciousness. And then they started to call it radiant matter when there was something called a Crookes tube, which also had to do with producing X-rays, I believe, or there was some correlation there with X-rays. There was this guy, Sir William Crookes. And this is in the late 1800s, he came up with the word radiant matter, which was plasma. But then people started talking about luminiferous ether and how there must exist an ether. And there was this experiment called the Michelson-Morley experiment, which disproved ether and all of its supposedly, paranormal properties that they, said. At one point they said this was like the medium of the universe, right? And it's how light propagated the universe. But the problem was they tested a static ether. And we all know that, reality is not static or fixed. It's in flux, right? It's a cosmic ocean. So after they disproved all the mystical parts of this ether, which was also very similar to radiant matter, but it was a more finer radiant matter, I would say, more invisible. They then came up with plasma in 1928. Irving Langmuir named it plasma because it resembled blood plasma, because they had the same properties of information exchange, protection, all these different things, but they're two different things in science. And then basically plasma made up 99.9% of visible matter. And it was known as an ionized gas. So there was solid, liquid, gas, and then plasma, which was the fourth state of matter. And I'm just giving you a brief history on it. But all of a sudden, all the paranormal and mystical talk was stripped from it. And it became this thing that was studied underground. National security kind of wiped it off the map. We barely learned about it in school. Very few people go into plasma research. And if they do, recently there's been 10 scientists that have been, supposedly killed for nuclear fusion work. I actually don't think, I think that, I'll talk about that another time, or you can ask me about that down the line, but I actually don't agree with that article. I think it's being sensationalized, and we should look where the media is not looking, because, the media is tailored by people in government. So yes, but what I was going off my tangent, back to plasma. Plasma was studied in secret for many, many years. And very, very recently, there have been discussions. This guy, Dr. Patrick Van Rees, out of Belgium, he works for a company called Plasmant. And they're starting to discuss, even in science, thank God, I've been saying this in my book, and Robert Temple has said this in his book, New Science of Heaven, as well, that plasma is more than we think it is. It does not just exist in the bounds of science. It is more metaphysical. It is more holistic. It needs a holistic science to be studied. And it is more the foundation of reality, or the substance that underlies reality. It's more like the first state of matter. And Dr. Patrick Van Rees actually talks about how it's, what do you call it? He more made up of like a potential quasi-particle, and how it is more of a set of behaviors of reality. And when you treat reality a certain way with temperature and such, this plasma starts to happen. So
is it like if plasma is the canvas, and then physical form is which we paint reality onto the canvas kind of thing?
I would say plasma is the way we could think about our 3D reality. It would almost be like plasma is all the paint. Plasma, there's a dimensionless plasma, which is the canvas, which is, completely neutral and not colored at all. Like a picture, like colorless little pixels that are like not particles, but there's something beyond science. Then picture this canvas with, this scenery you're looking at. And all of that is plasma with different colors and gradients. But the difference is we can actually go in and change it. So it's almost like a virtual painting, but not a machine. It's like a living, breathing painting that we can change at every moment.
Yeah, fascinating. Because I'll go off the deep end slightly here, because where I got really fascinated by all this kind of stuff was through my own journey, where I had an experience where I felt a lot of energy surge through the body. And then when I surrendered into it, I became the field. It was, I can't even explain it. And it was like my body was evaporating. It vibrated and evaporated into emergence of something far greater. But then what happened, Dana, which a face came through, like it was coming through the TV screen. And as it came through, it's like it was coming out. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And it touched me. So I was like, holy shit, that is wild. Absolutely wild, terrifying, exciting, all of the same in that moment.
Yes. So I would say plasma is what made up all of that. So like plasma in Greek literally means moldable substance. So plasma can be molded. So if like maybe another being of consciousness was visiting you, it's visiting you through this plasma, right? Almost as like a mask. And also when you're talking about the field, so there's plasma in science. That's almost like, think of a 3-dimensional visible, part of plasma, right? And then we have the invisible plasma, what I call multidimensional plasma, which is, I would define as a living sentient ether that is multidimensional. and it is the vehicle for consciousness and for information.
Mhm.
And that cannot be proved in science yet, just like a lot of theories once couldn't be, but I do think it will when we have the tools to test for it. But just picture it's like a finer plasma. So plasma comes in all different gradients. Just like in science, there's like all different exotic plasmas. Yeah.
So would you say, just so I can get my head around it in
Yeah.
terminology, because there's different words around it.
Right
So
now.
like in Taoism, they call it the pulse or primordial mother, and then
Hmm.
it gives rise to consciousness, which gives rise to spirit, which gives rise to the soul, and then physical form in that linear progression. Is plasma the like the 0 point field, the quantum field, the matrix, whatever, or is it coming from that, and plasma is a layer
Yeah.
beyond that, you know?
I think it would even be before quantum. I call it quintessence, which is actually the fifth essence, which Aristotle talked about, which is more like an ether. So I would say that there's this underlying cosmic ocean to everything, which is
Hmm.
this, dimensionless plasma, right? Almost like how in Kabbalah, like the feminine came first to the original water, right? And it's not conscious. It's just imprinted by consciousness, but it also has intelligence and sentience. Picture it more like feeling, like the feminine side of consciousness, like emotion, feeling, your instincts. It's more animalistic, which is why it's been demonized. And it's like a cosmic ocean, right? And then, that ocean is bubbles. And those bubbles hold memory or imprinted consciousness. And that surround me and you. Consciousness more has to do with like light. And plasma, I would say, more has been associated with like dark, even though it's not. Um, but yeah, so, and I mean, yeah, different religions, there's so many correlations to what plasma is. But once again, plasma can come in different like densities. So, then you have like material plasma, which is the fourth state of matter. You have a more ether plasma, which is the collective unconscious, what I call four-dimensional plasma. And then there's a more fifth dimensional plasma, which is where you could say the heavens are or our higher selves are. Um, yeah, so there's all different kinds.
No, that's fine. It's just, and it's more out of curiosity than anything else, because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the way
yeah.
where my brain starts to go as well, trying to
Yeah.
piece all this together as well. I find it interesting that you speak of that and the feminine aspect and the emotional
Mhm.
aspect of it, because funny, an image occurred to me. Somebody put up a meme the other day of all the world leaders that are currently creating the chaos in the world, and they're all old men, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, what is going on in the world? Like, have we got to this point, and what is happening moving forward? I mean, I've opened it up there as well for you, but like, it
Yeah.
really feels like that we've gone so far down a
Yeah.
masculine energy route
Yeah, we need a
and we're
balance.
imbalanced.
Yeah, and it's like, listen, I'm not like a feminist, right? I'm a humanist
Yeah,
for men. Yeah, I know. I'm for
same.
men and women and everyone in between, whatever. My point is, I do agree with you though. Like we've obviously balanced the scale too far to the masculine, and the problem is the most masculines are living in survival consciousness, which is like war and anger and money and power and sex, and there are all these things that they're chasing, not realizing that there is more of a divine masculine side, right? Right? A healed consciousness, healing the inner child, and it's not less manly. I mean, any woman would tell you it's more manly when they see a man, feeling emotions. They don't like seeing men fight. And there's ways to have healthy masculine, and I'm not the professional on this, and you could still be manly and animalistic and all those things. But yeah, we've definitely taken the scale too far, and we definitely need more of a balance with men and women ruling the world in general. And I'm not against having some type of people running certain things, right? I don't know. I'm not one to say how to fix everything, but yeah, the scales are definitely tipped. Yes, and right now I think there's a resurgence of that divine feminine. We're not all the way there yet, but plasma is a symbolism, but also the actual divine feminine returning, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, tying it back
Yeah.
to where did your passion and insight come from with this stuff as well? So I believe, I don't know, you were doing acting, or you are an
Yeah.
actor. I don't know if is
Yeah, I
that's
wouldn't call myself an actor really, but like I was. So yes, when this happened, when this passion kind of sprouted out of me, I was acting and directing film. So basically, very strange. And I think if anything, this is why people should maybe trust me a little bit, at least what I say. or take it with a grain of salt, is that I had no interest in plasma. I've probably never even heard of plasma. I think I did used to like the plasma balls and Spencers, but I didn't even know they were plasma. I did study, like I didn't study, but I was very good at math and science as a child. But I was a drug addict in my teenage years. I didn't go to college. Like I took a very different path, and I feel very grateful for that because I don't think I was, the dogma was not put on me from religion or from science or from anything. So I had no real belief system besides like just trying to be a good person. And my point of saying that is when I was finally found acting and directing, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And then I went through a really tough relationship and I started meditating. And my third time meditating, it was like I plugged in or connected with plasma, this like feminine creation energy, womb-like substance, right? And I was seeing fractals and I cried. I was like, oh, I know where I come from and where I'm going back to. And plasma is like the vehicle for consciousness and intelligence and information. And plasma, is intelligent. And oh my God, like, why doesn't everyone know this? Like plasma is being so misunderstood. It was like telling me these things, but it didn't talk to me. It's just I knew all of this at like once. And once again, I knew nothing about plasma before this happened. This was like in a 15-minute period. And then I kind of, woke out of this like fever dream. And I mean, it's been a fever dream ever since for the last 6 years because it like found me in a weird way. Yeah, very weird, very strange. Yeah.
Well, was there any catalyst, or just outside of exploring meditation, you think that created that download, that experience to start to happen? Because
Yeah.
I mean, I've done over 400 podcasts. I mean, I've been in front of thousands of people, and there's
Yeah.
normally some catalyst to really spark that opening to
I mean,
source.
for me, it was Heartbreak. Like,
Okay.
so, and it's like, it's so funny that that's what it was because I've been through way worse things in my life. But the thing is, I never really felt them. I numbed myself to every horrible trauma. I've been, if you think of a trauma, I've been through most of them several times. And I had to shut my body off. So I was living, from my head up most of my life. Like my body was literally numb. Like I'm still working on like feeling my feet because of how much I've shut my body off. And when I had a boyfriend, and of course I should have known he would have lied to me about things, but I was, codependent and in denial and, really trusted him for some weird reason, even though I knew I shouldn't have. And, I found out he lied to me about, this girl he was going to meet up with and, get together with. And for some reason because I had so much trust in him, and I come from like, a family that I couldn't really trust or feel safe with. I love my mom and dad, but like, it's just the truth. And I never really felt safe in a certain like friend group or in school. So like that, I projected all of what I needed into this guy, right? I'm not saying he was that. And so when he did this thing, my heart broke open in a way where I like screamed like I was dying. He probably thought I was insane looking back that what I even think I overreacted. But it was almost like my heart cracked open and every trauma I've ever had that I didn't feel came back to me. And then I felt so horrible that the only thing I could think to turn to, because I knew I couldn't do drugs or drink because that'd take me down a bad path. I didn't want to, binge eat. So I was like, I'm going to try meditation. And then, I started doing transcendental meditation. And my third meditation is when this plasma stuff found me. But I never thought my life would be here in a million years. But then again, like my intuition, like I could see this happening. Like I was so weird as a kid. Like if you ask anyone, they wouldn't be surprised. But I also I thought I was going to be like a famous actor, filmmaker, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this clearly, it seems like that was the straw that broke the camel's back, that last bit that then opened up everything for
Yeah.
you moving forward in that. So when you started having the downloads, the plasma, when did you, like, at what point was it really starting to paint a picture to you? Because it feels to me as well as you share that these experiences were then becoming very healing for you, because the amount of disassociation that people are walking around with and not being fully connected to their bodies because of traumatic experiences, obviously, the energy aspect of ourselves flees and sits outside the body, and then we feel numb to ourselves, right?
Mhm.
But then when we open it up, the body has to relive a lot of those experiences as it moves through, so it becomes even darker. Even though we're going through it and there's light
Yeah.
the other side, we don't know it, right?
Yeah.
So, so,
Yeah.
I guess in that, I'm curious because I think now a lot of people are going to be really resonating with everything that you say.
Mhm.
Is what allowed you to lean into this information of plasma that is coming through, but also start to heal those
Mhm.
aspects of yourself that you
Yeah.
said you've been working through? I'm actually here right now at a retreat space in Taupo, New Zealand, and it's beautiful. And it really brings home the difference between understanding this work and actually living it. Because that's what retreats can do and why we're so passionate about it. They give you the space to slow down, to reconnect, and truly let something deeper land. So it's not just an idea, but it's a lived experience. That's why we created Live in Flow. So if you've been feeling this shift in your own life and you know you're ready to go deeper, then come back to liveinflow.co to find out more. Anyway, back to the episode.
Yeah, I'm really glad I listened to like my inner whispers, I guess you could say, because I think unfortunately a lot of times in the spiritual community, like people like me have these downloads and automatically go into ego and that they're the savior of the world or um like I don't know, that they're, this chosen one, right? Just all these things. Or like, they don't integrate it into their body. And I had a little voice come to me, and then this is over 5 years, so I'm not saying it probably exactly as it happened, but very early on, this was like you need make sure you're doing trauma therapy. You need to integrate this. And I just started trauma therapy, I think around that same time because of the same issues I was having. So in the last 5 years, I've done a mix of internal family systems, somatic work, some past life work, and something called the comprehensive resource model. My therapist does like a mix of those things. I see her twice a month. And I've relived almost every single trauma. We're still working on my adoption one, which I never even would have thought affected me. But I guess that like original separation can do real damage on like your body and your belief system, even if you don't think you're traumatized by being adopted. So that one, my body for some weird reason still doesn't feel safe getting to yet, but we're like almost there. We basically had to work my nervous system up to that. But I went through, I don't. If I can't say this, you can erase this part. But several like molestation things that happened to me with a gymnastics teacher and other people. I had to relive all that stuff, being taken advantage of in high school in the wrong ways, severe bullying, some abuse, a lot of those things I had to relive. And then, like traumas that everyone has that you don't realize are traumas. Like, when your mom gets really mad at you and, may switch her, well, maybe not everyone deals with this, but like, a personality switch or like, let me think of something that most people even go through that can be traumatic. Like, I don't know, getting made fun of, right? A lot of people get made fun of, but just how those things like for instance, my mom didn't like when I danced. She thought it was manic. So I literally had to go through like the trauma of like shutting down my freedom and like, because I always felt like I was being watched and surveilled. So I started to almost have to mask how I was feeling and generate this character of, oh, what's right to feel in this and this and this moment. And then all of a sudden I realized at 37 years old, I don't know how to feel. Like I feel intensely, but then when I feel in front of people, it's almost performative because I'm trying to manipulate the outcome rather than just feeling, because feeling was never safe. Anyway, all these things I had to work on. And for people that say, oh, like, everyone's too sensitive now, we're gonna trauma. The thing is, like, I get that. There is some people that are too sensitive and it's ridiculous. Like, not everyone should win awards. Like, we should be able to say things in comedy and it should be fine. Not everything, but I'm more saying trauma and healing our nervous system, though, that does happen to everyone and it's directly linked to bringing it back to plasma. Our nervous system is what speaks to plasma. It's our consciousness. You will not bring in money or abundance if you haven't healed your nervous system and your belief systems in the right ways. You'll lose it easy again. You'll bring in the wrong partner over and over again. I've lived a very depressed inside life most of my life, not even feeling alive because of I didn't want to be weak or look at this stuff. So I think healing is nothing to be ashamed of. And it's just, you have to remember you're not a victim. Like, and you're healing so you can get out of survival consciousness. So yeah, now I would say, healing journey's never done. But, what's important to me is that I'm working on healing. That's a lifelong thing. But I also know how to feel, which is, I think, even more important because that creates like a channel for your intuition to, work with plasma, work with reality, and kind of, be in a relationship with reality in a way that's not in a psychosis or like spiritual bypassing. So back to the plasma stuff, I just knew that there was a direct correlation with psychology and plasma that had not been explored. And I knew that I had to walk the talk and heal and go through the things I've also gone through the things I've gone through, which have given me the exact perspective needed to translate this knowledge/wisdom, I guess. Yeah.
I'm nodding in agreement with everything you just said. Absolutely. And first of all, thank you for your honesty and sharing. I think that's really important. Thank you. I can certainly feel your journey that you've been going through. The fascinating thing as you were sharing them, what I wanted to bring forward as well is like the critical component of the nervous system, and that is the gateway to everything. And like you say, the inner work as you start to heal starts to reflect out. And like you say, the plasma, what I've noticed over especially the last 18 months is there's almost like I go into a hibernation and then there's an contraction from it, and then there's an expansion, and it continues to evolve. But I'm feeling trauma come out of my bones, like the marrow, that it isn't mine. It's just in there as well. Like it could be ancestral, it could be past life, who knows?
Yes.
But it's just energy, but there's a relationship that's going on with something energetic. And once you tune in, feel, and it clears, you feel the shifts within yourself.
Yeah.
Which shifts your perception of your stories, or your belief systems of who you are, how you see everything, and the relationship to the world. Like I do wonder sometimes how many people are out there with physical issues when actually it's a plasma problem, right? It's an energetic problem that hasn't been resolved in that relationship. And the physical bit is the bit that shows it last.
Yes.
It's like what manifests, it's like it's crazy. And
I have
wonder
a good story about that. Yeah.
Please tell me. Yeah.
Yeah. So like very recently, this is like in December, just in December, I was, rejected by a guy yet again. No, I'm making a joke, but I, chased the wrong person. Right. And I actually really needed that experience to actually fall in love with myself and realize my worth. And I'm very glad that whole experience happened. But my point was, it was the first person I really felt like a lot of feelings for since my last boyfriend a few years ago. And this might all sound silly, but this is what humans go through. And when I was dealing with that rejection that was very like fast and out of nowhere kind of, I developed a rash and around my stomach, which is the same place, as the wounds are from being adopted, right? And the umbilical cord and all these things. So I had a rash all on my lower stomach. Most people would go to a doctor and then they'll get diagnosed with an immune disorder and then they'll get put on medication and then they'll be on a special diet. I had the wisdom to be like, no, this is literally my trauma showing itself physically, and now I'm going to finally face it and feel it. And what did I do? And this is the part that where I didn't do anything. I actually then started smoking cigarettes and started binge eating ice cream. So I didn't face it, but the rash went away. Funny enough, now 3 months later happened. And I'm, finding all these distractions again, whatever. And then finally, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to try to date. I'm really going to focus on myself. Like, I really need to heal this last part, that's really, I feel like in between me and like just being this expansive human that actually loves myself. And the rash came out again. And instead of going back to smoking cigarettes, instead of going back to eating junk food, I actually felt through it. And it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was more the fear of what I was going to feel. I don't even know what it was. I just wasn't, who knows? We can't, but my point is, and the rash went away again. And now literally this week, I was in acting class because I still do acting class just because it actually helps me connect to my feelings. And I was in acting class and I had to reconnect with a part of myself, this like 7-year-old who used to be free and dance, right? And feel and not feel like she had to perform how she was feeling. And oh God, what was my point of this? Basically I like reconnected with the like expansive part of myself, and the fact that I can I did this in therapy too. It all connected in 1 week. I could be me, which is your like multidimensional self. My therapist calls it your true self or your higher self. I can exist as that now and finally I'm safe to do that. I can exist as myself and manifest from that place instead of these stories I created and these masks I've created, and you know, not being I'm always my whole self, but it's like I closed the 7 and 8-year-old in a box, right? Because their behaviors weren't acceptable. So it's about taking that back in and putting them into you, and you know, being that whole person again. And I don't know, it's just been a very beautiful journey. But just for anyone who's still dealing with that stuff and, you know, in the public eye or practicing spirituality, like it's okay if you like mess up or go through these things.
Of course,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
being human. It's being human, isn't it?
Exactly. But
Like,
sometimes we're
come
made to
on.
think, you know, those things are shameful. And, you know, sometimes spiritual people will say, you know, pretend they're all enlightened. And then obviously it comes out that they never are.
Yeah, well, it's challenging as well. Like, I mean, even on social media, it's like looking through a keyhole. Everyone's presenting a
Yeah.
certain aspect of themselves, and you just get these tiny snippets that's over time portraying probably an inconclusive picture of someone's reality. And
Yeah.
we just kind of buy into it if that becomes our focus of information, you
Hmm.
know, like it's out there as opposed to just getting on and living our lives.
Yeah.
But what I'm interested as well, then,
Mhm.
from your own downloads, your research, life experience, and everything, then you mentioned that caught my interest as well. I'd love to see how you unpack it. Is around the relationship with the plasma, the universe, if it's a mirror into your manifestation and your life and your nervous system and your body. So what's going on in the inside is reflecting in the plasma. Is
Mhm.
that what you're saying? And if you change
So
your external state, then the
yeah,
outer world will
yeah.
start to reflect back. Like, how do you see all that stuff?
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to say it and talk about it. So, well, the first thing is that plasma is a reflective substance. And once again, I'm talking about multidimensional plasma. So I'm talking about, you know, the plasma that makes up our reality right now. But it also does this in science, by the way. But it is a reflective substance, and there's two real layers to it. When, you know, we're seeing plasma, think about how, you know, we have an energy field that's pretty much proven now, right? It's a biofield that is made of something called bioplasma, which is what Russia calls it. It's also a 4-dimensional plasma or a finer plasma, right? This ether. And what does that hold? Our subconscious. And it makes up our consciousness, right? So picture your consciousness is like these tentacles in a toroidal form, constantly going in and out, and you're feeling the world with it. So that's what makes up our entire consciousness. And also, what that plasma that holds our consciousness is also called the soul. So this 4-dimensional plasma makes up the soul. It also makes up the entire collective unconscious. So, you know, we all connect through that, which is how intuition is formed. That's how, you know, someone could read me and know my past lives, or, you know, pick up on certain things. We're all reading each other's, you know, vibrational bubbles all the time. And the more we connect with our subconscious, the more we can be intuitive. So, plasma as a reflective substance, when your bubble comes across any other plasma bubble, right? And everything is encased in a plasma bubble. You, me, a phone, a book, a water bottle, anything inanimate and inanimate. It's like all little bubbles in the ocean. This plasma reflects your subconscious. So think about when you meet someone. First, you don't meet them. You meet most of us meet our projections, right? We meet the person we're making up about them in our head because they remind us of, you know, this girl in high school that slept with our boyfriend, or of our father. So it's the same thing, just like that plasma reflects that when we're meeting a person. You know, if you're having an experience with, you know, maybe a being you're seeing, whether it's a demon or an angel, that's actually reflecting your subconscious. So based on your cultural beliefs, based on what you've seen that week, if another being of consciousness or a being of what I call information, which is just, you know, a seed of trauma, or memory visits you, it's going to reflect your subconscious, or whatever is in the collective unconscious. Then there's the inner truth, or the seed, or what I call intelligence, in every plasma that visits you. And you know, you can even talk about this as like anything you look at. It's the same thing. It's holographic. But there's the seat of intelligence, and this could be once you go past your subconscious filters and you're able to be open to what's really coming to you. And once again, you can apply this to anything in your life and reality. You can see the real person. You'll see the real being. So it's probably a holographic, being, or it's another being of consciousness, or maybe it's, that traumatic memory that you're seeing as a demon because you're projecting versus really taking in what it is, because sometimes we're not ready for all that. And that's why, cultures have demonized plasma and this four-dimensional layer. So yeah, there's two layers of it. There's the intelligent layer and then the informational layer. And science and quantum physics is actually stuck in the informational layer because everyone loves quantum physics, I know, but the hilarious thing we always forget is they're still having no idea what's happening and can't even reconcile, the classical, what is it? The classical and is it the classical and the quantum or what? General relativity and what's the other thing? Hold on. I have to look it up. I literally wrote about this in my book and I'm blanking. Oh, general relativity and what cannot be reconciled. There's two different general relativity and quantum mechanics cannot be reconciled. So it's like we have different science for all these things, but they don't work when we put it all together. And the reason why they don't work is because it's a deeper field of plasma, of quintessence, right? I like to call it quintessence, or it's something beyond physics. And even physics and a lot of science don't accept that spiritual side of consciousness, right? So I believe that, in the next few years, we're going to have to make a totally new science, a holistic science, something beyond quantum that brings in psychology again and consciousness to the equation. And some scientists finally are starting to do this. I don't even know where I was going with that.
That's okay. But do you ever wonder why it behaves in that manner? So, like, for instance, right, I like what you're saying, because a penny dropped for me a long time ago, because what was happening, I was starting to have out-of-body experiences, but they were very dark when I got out, like in terms of what was presenting itself for me. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But then I started leaning into the work of Tom Campbell. I'm not sure if you know Tom Campbell, but what he said to me was, no, it's just reflecting what's internally not resolved. Like it was it's a direct reflection, right? Yeah. So all of a sudden, the moment I went in there and I just held a space of love into where I was feeling, it's just gone. And I was like, oh my God, it's just mirroring what's in me. Have you ever wondered why it behaves in this manner?
Yeah, I have. And I think I feel like I have an answer. Once again, everyone, should go with what's true to them. But I think it's almost like the perfect way to heal and evolve humanity is this substance and these beings that we're coming across. Some of them are, once again, informational, which just holds our trauma, right? They're collective unconscious. So, many beings that visit us are not conscious. They cannot, take us over without us agreeing. And when if someone feels possessed, it's more that we're actually unconsciously agreeing to a possession from the collective unconscious. A being of consciousness will never possess you because they're all benevolent. They're all interdimensional. They can't travel through plasma's love. They can't travel through love unless they have compassion, right? So what can travel and get to us is the unconscious, because that's within time-space reality, which some people would call evil, right? Those things are there, but once again, they really just resonate with something inside of us. So the second we banish it in us, doesn't have that magnetic pull to us anymore. And it's not to shame people if they have a lot of dark experiences. It just means, you've probably gone through a lot of trauma. But yeah, I think I don't know who, if there was a creator to all this or if it's just always been here. I'm not one to answer that question, but this plasma, this intelligent substance is here for us to, one, learn from and also evolve with. So when we're seeing these beings, these demons, and we're actually evolving them to consciousness, almost like a demon going to heaven, when we become conscious of what they're bringing us. So it's so beautiful because that expands the universe, right? So yeah, I don't know the exact answer, but I think it's like all benevolent and pushing us forward into some more expansive reality.
But interestingly as well, it puts everything back on us, right, to evolve, because we live in a world where we're outsourcing everything,
Yes.
that we look externally for the answers, but ultimately it feels like you got to go in.
Yes, I think that's why people are once again, the man's greatest fear is to face himself, right? Or there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And I think we're all scared of ourselves, and because what's the word? Self autonomy or like accountability of our lives. That's a scary thing, right? To know that we have choice like that. Like some people, it's easier to be a victim when you're in the beginning, because then you're like, oh, this and this, I can't control it. And it's like, yeah, but if you can, that almost feels like the unknown, right? That's scary, because then you're like, oh, now I really have to like be responsible for my life and take accountability for the things I've done. But I think the interesting thing, and I've had this in my life, I'm sure you have too, is like there is some beauty in like the mystery of life, where there sometimes are these weird nudges or these weird miracles or like these beings of consciousness that do show up or help us in some way. And I don't think we need to understand that. I think it's just really cool that there's that. And, even when I connect with these beings, they always tell me, do not put us on a pedestal. Do not pray to us. You do not need to sacrifice anything for us. Like, we're always here. You can meet us halfway anytime you want. That's up to you and your vibration. We're going to let you make mistakes. It's like a wise grandparent. But if you want our help, like, we're here. I think in the Japanese culture, they call them kamis. But yeah, I think it's interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting. No, absolutely. I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you have images of those things that you unpacked? When you were speaking about how consciousness, do you have the images of that in your book, or things that people get a reference from?
Let's see. Yeah, if I could afford an artist instead of AI, I would have done it, but I, had to use AI for most of my images because I didn't have money. But actually, let me get my color buff. Hold on. Where's my color? Is this the color one? Yeah, it is. My book does have
That's a
images.
big book, mate.
Yes.
Holy shit.
It's 600 and, oh God, everyone's going to be a conspiracy theorist about this, but it's 666 pages. But there's also the number for balance and heart. It's not just.
No, absolutely. Triple numbers, triple six
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Yeah, like I have like for instance, I have like image about how like I relate plasma to the Holy Grail and the cup, which is literally
Yeah,
just
okay.
plasma in a reactor, and then the Holy Grail. And like about my theories. Let me find a picture of the. There's so much in this book like that I never talk about because there's just too much to talk
It's
about.
dense.
Yeah, there's one photo I want to show that's really cool. When I was talking to you about the plasma spherals, like when I was talking about like how, there's like some kind of like dimensionless plasma spheral, which is like colorless, and then it can be like activated almost by consciousness. It kind of reminds me of like a light bright or like a, computer screen. But once again, I do not think it's a computer.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll have to order a copy of your book, mate, because I'm intrigued to see how you've unpacked that. Oh, there you go.
Cool images. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
How long did it take? So how did you end up with that book? You just download and free write it, or what?
Exactly. Yeah. Like it was, it literally was in me from the moment I meditated that day. Like, and when was it? 2021. Like, I literally, like a few days later, made the first picture of the book because my higher self kind of came through and was like, you're going to write a book called A New Force about plasma. It's going to be, one book that, helps change the world or push the world forward, whatever. And you're going to co-create it in your reality, like in your own way. Like it hasn't been created yet in your reality. And then when it took me 4 years to actually write it, because I didn't, come out about this stuff right away. It took me 3 years to even talk about this online because I was embarrassed.
I was going to ask you about that as well. Yeah.
And then I just wrote it in 1 year. Yeah, I wrote it in like 9 months.
What happened? What have you noticed in your life since you just kind of went like, fuck it, I'm just going to be me and put all this out there and talk about it?
Everything. My life is completely blossomed. But with more light comes more darkness. And I think people forget that. And I think that's where the quote, be careful what you wish for, comes from. But I once again also think it's just the darkness of the soul that we all have to go through if we want to get to that more actualized self or like rainbow self. like because I suppressed so much, like so much darkness within me, and feelings have come out that I've had to work through. And also when you're, becoming more public, I guess you could say, like, a lot of those there's more temptations, more, you could get validation at any moment just from looking at a notification. And it's about learning how not to get validation from those things and how to keep a normal, grounded life and, keep the friends that really matter and, not become obsessed with like fame because all that stuff is so fleeting. And being grounded in your curiosity and not, becoming friends or going somewhere just because you think it's cool. Like stay with what makes you curious and feels like you, and you'll always be on the right path, I feel. And you'll make missteps along the way. Like there's things I didn't want to go to that I went to just to go to. And, people I didn't want to hang out with that I hung out with just to see how it would be. Like, that's fine. That's all, that and like is contrast and it teaches you what you really want. But I will say overall though, it's led me to like anything I could have dreamed. I afford my apartment with my book money. I literally was living with my mom last year. I
That's huge.
could, yeah, if I wanted, I could travel anywhere I want to go. It's just more that I'm writing another book, so I'm not doing that right now. But yeah, I feel more myself than ever. I can, take a acting class if I want. I can write a fantasy book. I just feel like I can do whatever. I feel free.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful, mate. It
No.
is. It is. Once you declare, that's for sure. Yeah. No, I'm the same. My life's changed so much since I've just been openly just kind of doing my thing.
Yeah.
And it goes on a completely different trajectory.
Yeah, right. It's not always glamorous, right? And it's not like you get your way every sec, but it's okay. Like you become okay with not getting your way because you realize it's actually meant to be that. Like it's about living in the mystery. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if it's one thing, like I've just turned 50, right? My life is like, I'm
Congrats.
like, oh, yeah, thanks. I'm like, holy shit.
Was
Like,
by
where did the last 20 years go? Yeah. But now for me, it really is about embracing and capturing moments and just being as present as I can and not getting hooked into any of the fear-based paradigms of never having enough or I've got to get this done. And that state of busyness,
Yeah,
that keeps you distracted. For me, they're all symptoms of a healing that isn't there, to be honest, that hasn't been resolved yet. I mean, that's what I'm
I agree.
finding.
I agree.
So it's precious. It's very precious.
Yeah, the busyness thing, I'm still healing. Like today, for instance, I was writing all day, but then I laid on my couch for an hour and I caught my own thought process, feeling very bad about laying on my couch. And I was like, oh, you should have written a little more today. You should have done this, or oh, you should shower before your interview. Like, what the heck are you doing? And then I was like, stop. I was like, I'm allowed to relax. This is not hustle culture. And because Hollywood can be very hustle. And
Right.
it's like, no, I'm allowed to relax. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, just reminding myself, like, I love you. It's okay that we're taking a nap. Like, everything's fine. Like, you're living your life for you.
No, it's great. And you've turned up completely 100% yourself, which is what this all about. And if you hadn't, it would probably be something off, right? So
Exactly.
it's a podcast. It's definitely not a Hollywood production, this one.
But
That's for
even if it
sure.
was, like, I think it's so important to be myself on and off camera. I think the only thing I've heard from people when I'm in person as their friend, they hear is, "Oh, you're a little less like whimsical, like you're a little bit more monotone." But that's just like when I'm like with my friends, it's almost like I would call it like unmasking. Like I just feel comfortable where I don't have to like, maybe be entertaining a little bit. So I'm more like la, la, or it's maybe that I'm just nervous around them, so I'm more monotone, right? If it's like a guy friend or something, but besides that, I'm literally the same. You can ask anyone, and I've been the same since I was like 5 years old. Even though I've grown. I was saying, I think that's so important, and I've inspired people humbly this way, where I talk about, smart concepts and spiritual concepts, but I look like this. And they're like, I never thought because I look like this that I could do that like you. Like, I thought I had to be buttoned up because I'm from London, or like, I thought I had to, get my PhD. But scientists take you so seriously. Like, that's crazy. And I'm like, anything can happen when you're yourself.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
good on you. And before we wrap up the
Yeah.
podcast, if people wanted to just play with the idea of plasma or
Yeah.
concept in their own life? Any direction you could point them into, like through the day, or like, is there anything
Mhm.
you've noticed?
Yeah. Well, I do think learning about it in science is good for anyone because the way it works with electromagnetic waves is how this finer plasma of reality works with our consciousness. So you can actually apply those patterns to yourself. Like the number one thing is and I didn't talk about this much, is plasma in science responds to a neutral curiosity or play. And it's like the children get into the gates of heaven type of thing, like, or the divine child archetype. So plasma, this company called Ramere, Rimere, they were studying plasma and making these, plasmoid things. But that's besides the point. When they would get really excited about the machine, it would shut off. But when they were more, neutral about it and just curious, but like they had a stable nervous system, that's when it kept working. And they also were studying plasma in different modes of consciousness, like different emotions. And it responds the best to like, I would say like a joyful play, but not it's like not overexcitement. You know how when you get overexcited, you usually lose the opportunity you get overexcited about it, which is so annoying. So it's not that. It's more of a calm play, like a wise child, like a grandparent mixed with a child. So yeah, plasma responds to that. So I would say literally all you have to do, and my book was originally going to be called this, but then I was like, no, is be you, be yourself. All you have to do is be you. And if you don't know who that is, remember or figure it out. And that healed you, that whole you, will organically work with plasma. You don't have to know anything about plasma really, but it is fun to learn about because it is the future and it will be in many future technologies and also, discussed in the future as far as what we do work with our consciousness. But yeah, really just be yourself. And then I guess the other thing would be, I think the closest thing where I've felt plasma with my energy field is practicing Qigong or Qigong, because that's moving your own plasma energy. So doing Qigong and nervous system regulation are great if you want to start feeling it. Or third, and it's hard for me to tell people because once again, this kind of came to me, right? But I found it through meditation. So if you want to, I didn't even have to set an intention, but if you want to maybe set an intention, hey, plasma, womb creation energy of the universe, I would love to have a visual and feeling experience with you. I'm open. And then you really have to let go. You cannot have expectations. It will come to you. But you really have to be in a state of what's called a negative capability, which is like holding a state of tension of what you want, but also not grasping for it. So it's kind of like planting the seed. Just like when you're planting a flower, you don't think, oh, grow, grow, grow all day, right? You plant it, you water it, and you go about your day.
Totally. No, I love it. Do you know what's coming to me is telekinesis as well? Because,
Oh,
because myself and my daughter, she's 5.5.
yeah.
We've been practicing sticking coins to the wall,
Yeah.
telekinesis, and she can do it.
Yes.
Like it's got to the point now, and I've done it once or twice,
Yeah.
but when you try too hard and you're just in that space, it
Yes.
doesn't happen.
It's about believing you can. And so it's funny, my friend, I think her name is Carly. She just my friend. It is a girl in my community, but and she's becoming my friend. She's telekinetic and she can stick the coins to the wall. And she might do a teaching in my next magic class about this, which is in June. Anyone watching, the link is in my bio. But she teaches telekinesis and she sticks coins to the wall. And she said the most important things are being in a state of play and experimentation, but also not being rigid in any way. Like once you make the coin stick to the wall, that way you did it, you cannot think that's always how you'll do it. You have to still play with other ways how to do it. You can't be fixed in the one way. And she also said, there was one more important thing. Oh, she said that if you don't believe it, it won't necessarily happen. So you can even trick yourself into thinking, oh, it's science, it's friction, even though it's not, because that will actually make you do it because it's like a real thing that you're believing. So even if you have to trick yourself into it, that actually makes it happen. So it's actually that 4-dimensional energy, that trickster energy is what binds it, right? So yeah, I found that really interesting.
Fascinating. Thanks for sharing. I'll
Yeah.
keep you updated how we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where can where can we send people if they want to
Yes.
get your book or find out more about what you do?
Yes. So for people in Australia, if the book does not get delivered there, I'm pretty sure it is on Amazon though. But they're also, if people need it translated into other languages, on my Stan store, which is stan.store/Dana Kippel, DanaKippel. I have signed copies. That you can't get in other countries. I have PDFs, which is only, this book is like $44. I think the PDF is $27. And you not only get the entire book online, which you can translate in any program you have, but you get a free magic class, which is like a 40-minute class I teach. And then, yeah, the books are on my link too. You can find them on Amazon. And then if you're in the US, I have signed books, but for some reason I can't ship outside of it because it's expensive. And then I also teach magic classes. So you can find all of the magic classes on plasma and consciousness. And you can find all those links on my Instagram at dana.thealien, my TikTok at Dana Kippel, and my YouTube at Plasma Intelligence.
Beautiful. Dana, lovely to connect. Thanks for coming on. It's
Thanks
been great
for
getting to know you today. Yeah. Oh, you're very welcome, my lovely. Thank you.
I had so much fun.
Likewise.